You've got Nicole Kaufman here, the right therapist. Long time no see. So sorry for the long hiatus. Hopefully I was missed, right? Just took a few weeks off to get my son graduated from high school, work on a couple of other projects that are kind of mental health related. And so just wanted to come back on today and talk. Now, all of a sudden, here we are, mid-July, and we find ourselves smack dab in what we keep hearing is a mental health crisis among our youth, in our nation. And we could talk for hours, right, as to why this is and what's going on as far as mental health in this country. I absolutely have an opinion as to why we are in a mental health crisis. So let's just go through them. 1, 2, 3 bullet points. Going to make this real short and sweet, but it bears mentioning that what we are dealing with socially and politically in this country has a large bearing on our mental state. First of all, one of the reasons that I think we are in a mental health crisis is the fact that language just doesn't matter anymore. We are now inventing words, not just pronouns for the transgender community. We're inventing pronouns that are basically nonsensical, that we are demanding that we address this population. Some people are. But at the same time, we are making up words that are highly charged and really at the end of the day don't mean anything. So we're putting the words anti or pro in front of everything. Anti-racist. Okay, when we say the word racism or racist, it's triggering enough as it is. Much less, of course, everybody wants to be anti-racist, because who wants to be racist? Okay, who really does? But you're called that and the conversation's over, right? So you have to be anti-racist now. And if you are, that's considered a virtue, right? So your rhetoric must follow that you're anti-racist. So that means you're very inclusionary. And that means that you include everybody, and we're including everybody of all stripes all the time. And it's just a free-for-all for everyone. And there's no meritocracy left, right? No, merit doesn't matter. Quality of character really doesn't matter. Everything's boiled down to what? Your skin color, your gender, your sexual preference. All of these things now take a higher place in the social strata than quality of character, your intelligence, your ability, the skills that you're able to bring to a specific job or workplace, or relationship, even for that matter. I can't tell you how many dating profiles I've seen that say that if you voted Republican, swipe left. I don't even want to talk to you. I don't even want to hold a conversation with you if you happen to not think the way that I do. And the little secret here is, folks, is that even with your spouse or partner, you're going to get along and be about statistically 80% aligned with your values, your core values, how you kind of fit with each other. It'll be about an 80% match. There's going to be about a 20% that's not an exact one-to-one match, right? And so what does that mean? It could be everything from lived personal experience, and so a mismatch of values or thoughts around certain subjects there. Or just a general disagreement about 20% of your life and your life together. 80% is the best that you can hope for there. So we need to get back to a sense of language that means something. Even down to, we're making up meaning here. The word pregnant people is now bantered about. And so if I'm understanding the definition correctly, and I have to take a minute to wrap my head around this, pregnant people includes, according to the Supreme Court testimony, or not Supreme Court, DOJ or something, there was testimony yesterday around this new bill that's coming out regarding pregnancy and abortion, right? So it was testimony on the Hill. That much I do know. But the idea that if you're a non-binary woman, so you don't think you're male and you don't think you're female, so you're just non-binary, you're just kind of, I guess, an it. But because you have a uterus, you can get pregnant, then you would be a pregnant person, not a pregnant female. So this kind of mental and linguistic gymnastics is sort of acceptable, right? Because I guess I can get my head around that, sort of. Here's the get, folks, though. How do we explain this to kids? How do we explain this to people who don't understand how this kind of works? How old do you have to be in order to logic model this out? And even if you can, what about second language learners? Could they even grasp this? How about people from other cultures that don't quite have this sort of lens to put on American culture? Could they really get their head around this if they happen to be from cultures where there are basically males and females and that's kind of it for them, for their culture? Okay. So I guess I'm just and it's so tiresome, right? It's so tiresome having to go through these linguistic gymnastics that just by the fact that you can use them is supposed to telegraph some sort of superiority as to who you are as a human being and what you think. And if you don't use this is the insidious part of all of this, that if you don't use this language, if you don't ascribe or subscribe to the meaning and the virtuosity behind using this language, then you're a bigot, you're a racist, you're for non-equity, and you're automatically a bad person. So I guess we can't get rid of it. It's here. But what do we do with this? How do we manage this moving forward if everybody has different words for everything, and that there's some sort of, some sort of virtuosity system in place by those of us who are, I guess, the moral betters of us, to tell us that if we don't use this particular language that is inherently meaningless, we're somehow less than a person, we somehow have less tolerance or less feeling. I don't agree with that. And I'm thinking that the majority of folks don't either, the majority of educated folks. Can we not connect somehow with each other on a human level? If you voted differently from me, I think I'm still capable of having a conversation with you. I might even go out and have drinks or what have you. I think we can connect on a lot of different levels. Can't we? Or have we lost that ability altogether? I don't know. But I think that does contribute as to why we are in a bit of a mental health crisis right now, because our meaning is based in language and in words and the meaning that we ascribe to them. So if we can't agree on that anymore, if we can't agree on what words mean, then my goodness, what can we agree on? And that's a larger question, right? Okay. Second reason why I think we're in a mental health crisis, we are being gaslit and simultaneously looking at being put in an economic double bind every single day. So today, the PPI came out, driven largely by energy costs. It surged year over year by 10%. Energy costs is another word for gas prices. Yes, gas prices are off the chart. Inflationary pressures are the highest since 1980, okay? 1980. What is going on, and why is this administration not fixing it? Gaslighting is when you're being told that something is not happening when indeed it is. So we're being told we're not in an inflationary cycle. We're not headed towards recession. We're being told that these numbers aren't as bad as we think. And this is old data that was touted a couple of days ago, that, oh, these numbers couldn't possibly be correct because gas went down by 40 cents. But I'm sorry, gas is one thing. Food prices are astronomical right now. And there's nobody who doesn't see that, except perhaps this administration. And it's amazing. Could you be more tone deaf right now? So again, gaslight, it's like gaslighting every day. What are we being told that is happening or that is not happening that we see happening every single day? $9 a pound or $9 a pack for bacon. Honestly, it's there. I see it, but I'm not supposed to believe that inflation is having any impact on this whatsoever. The double bind that is being that is clearly illustrated by this administration right now is the following. So we're being told that the inflationary pressures are due to Putin's price hike. And at the same time, we're being told that, well, this war is there, so I mean, what will we do? Well, a smart person would say, well, what we would do is take steps to end that war. And so maybe gas prices would come down, right? But we're not going to do that. Okay, so if we're not going to do that, then the answer to bring down energy prices would be to open up drilling again, open up the Keystone Pipeline, open up all energy production on this side of the world. But this administration is not wanting to do that either. So it leaves the American people in a catch-22 that from which there's no escape, the quintessential double bind. You're damned if you're doing, you're damned if you don't, right? So all this to say, this creates what we call in mental health a cognitive dissonance. All right, we try and puzzle this out on one side or the other, but we can't reconcile a truth. We can't reconcile a reality of how to fix this. So you have enough cognitive dissonance about a certain situation. If you can't reconcile a fix, then that results in loss of hope and despair. Okay, once you have loss of hope and despair, then you have nothing left to lose. And in mental health, we want to be careful, or in society, we want to be careful of setting people up with nothing left to lose, right? So I would just pause there to say that I'm not saying that this administration and Putin's price hike is driving people to commit heinous acts of violence, and the violence in all of our blue cities has just skyrocketed, and the violence has become chaotic and really off the charts, more than we've ever been exposed to. These school shootings, the tragedies, two of which have happened in the last month since I was on last. Well, actually, one of which, antisocial personality, the rules don't apply to them. But again, these boys had nothing left to lose. They'd lost everything. They'd lost their community. They'd lost their parents. They'd lost any kind of bookends or boundaries to run up against. And when that happens, then all bets are off as far as human behavior. So all this to say, the gaslighting, saying that something is happening when it isn't, and driving people toward questioning their own reality, it has some real effects. So, I would ask that this administration stop gaslighting the American people and actually do something about the state that we're in, because to hold up your hands and say, well, it's somebody else's fault, promotes a victimhood that is inescapable. And as Americans, I don't believe that we're victims. We have agency and we have responsibility, and we need to actualize both of those. And that dovetails into my third point and final point, that we are in a mental health crisis, because I believe we as a people, and especially young people at this point, and I can say that because I'm no longer a young person at all, there is a lack of understanding for what it means to live in a free country. And I think the current situation with Brittany Griner being imprisoned in Russia and LeBron's uninformed comment on her, Brittany Griner, as you know, was imprisoned and pled guilty and is rotting away right now in a Russian prison, 100 days and counting. For any of you who have spent any time in prison, this will ruin you mentally and emotionally. She is going to be a shell of a human being and need therapy probably the rest of her life if she ever gets out. All right. So this woman's life has been ruined by her own choices. And I say her own choices because she got caught with substance, and this is the consequence for that. So it's in Russia anyway. So to think that the rules don't apply to you and to think that, oh, well, why would she even want to come back here? Honestly, for folks who don't think that this is a great country, I beg of you, please travel. Please travel out of your city. Please travel out of your state and see how other people live. I would invite you also to travel out of your country so that you understand how other people live. My son had an opportunity to go overseas fairly recently, and he came back and he said, Mom, he said, and my son's a teenager, and he said, Mom, the girls are so pretty over there. Oh my gosh, they are so pretty. And he goes, and guess what? He goes, nobody's overweight. Nobody's overweight over there. I was like, yeah, imagine that. To see, and those were the first couple of things he noticed. Okay, he noticed a lot of other things, but those were the first couple of things he noticed. We are spoiled rotten over here with our opportunity for freedom, our freedom of expression, the vast abundance that we have, even in a supply chain crisis. It's my belief we have an abundance of things. As Dave Matthews would say, typical situation in these typical times, too many choices. And yeah, we have a ton of choices. Go ahead and travel. And LeBron, I love Enes Kanter's response to you that if you would like to do a trade with Brittany Griner, if you feel so bad that she would have to come back to the United States, perhaps you could trade with her. I think that would be just fine. And let's send her home. She's, a vulnerable female after all. I know she's a tough basketball player, but hey, I'm sure the Russians would welcome your taking her place. So how about that? And Enes Kanter said, keep saying what you're saying, right? I think personally, Kanter's days are probably numbered in the NBA, given his vocalness around his own freedom. I just don't think that's going to brief well with the Chinese. And I think he will be quietly uncontracted or not re-signed at the end. That's my prediction. Not that my prediction matters, but it'll be interesting how they make him go away, because I think that's on the table, unfortunately. I think he's a fantastic voice, yet I am cynical enough to think that he will be on an exit plan, not of his own choosing, from the NBA sooner than later. So that's all I've got for you today, guys. Mental health crisis, yeah, I think we're there. I think that we're there for a variety of reasons. I might come up with some other reasons why we are, but those are just three that spring to mind straight away. Hug your babies, as I say I think that's my tagline. Hug your babies, have a great weekend, be safe, and we'll see you next time. Thank you so much.